before the games can begin, as you know, jobs got to be won.
Absolutely.
You got to ball out. You got to get it. You got to get that job. This is where the players play.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking about the Celtics, and here's the thing about this team. I think that they have a pretty good feel for who their top 8, 9, 10 guys are, but there's a there's a pecking order that has yet to be established.
Mm-hmm.
And when I think about the camp battles, the one I'm most interested in is the backcourt.
Yes.
Now, how do you think that's going to play out? Like, who do you see as like basically who do you think are going to be the top 3 guards? Because there's like 4. Like I look at Smart, I
Mm-hmm.
look at Richardson, I look at
Jabari Parker.
I look at Jabari with
Is
the
he
bigs, but
okay?
I'm looking at Smart. I'm looking at Pritchard. I'm looking at Jay Richardson. And I'm looking at Dennis Schroeder. Now,
Mm.
among those 4, somebody ain't gonna get run. Somebody is going to do what you and I will be doing a lot of this season, which is watching the Celtics play. How do you think that whole guard situation is going to play out?
Honestly, I think they could all make the cut because I was looking at the 20-man roster right now, and I don't see any of the guards that he has now really getting cut, to be honest. I think it's going to be up to the lower tier players that just made the cut literally today that are going to have to prove themselves in camp. And I know that you don't want to have too many cooks in the kitchen, but as of now, I'm looking forward to that preseason game on Monday just to see what that roster is looking at and what the substitutions are, who Ime is going to put in, just so we can see how they're working together as a unit. Because as of now, all of those guards, when I look at the way they play, at least from the, whether they've been on the Celtics or other teams, I'm not really ready to cut anyone specifically. But what about you?
No, I think all those guys will make the team. I'm not
Yeah.
worried about guys getting cut. I'm worried
You
about
think more
guys
starters?
getting any playing time.
Okay.
I'm more concerned about that. And I think about, to me, I love what I saw to Peyton Pritchard this summer. I thought he
Yeah.
did exactly what you want an up and coming, young, promising point guard to do. And his reward for balling out this summer:
Is
re-sign Marcus Smart,
yeah.
bring in Josh Richardson,
Mhm.
and add Dennis to the mix. Dennis
He's
the
at the
Menace
bottom.
to the mix. And
Yeah.
so, to me, I don't know where he's going to play. I don't know how he's going to beat those guys out and get minutes unless Udoka decides to go with a 4 guard rotation, which I think it's possible. But when you have a guy like Jason Tatum who can be your initiator, when you got a guy like Jaylen Brown can be the initiator, and you've already said Marcus Smart is going to have the rock in his hand more now than ever, I don't know how that's going to work out for Pritchard. The one guy that um, I'm a little bit uncertain of is Josh Richardson. I think he's going to be good, but
Yeah.
Josh is a real streaky dude. He can have stretches where he's an all-star caliber player, and others where he completely disappears. And that, to me, is where Pritchard could potentially work his way into the mix. And because the one thing I do like about Peyton Pritchard, for the most part, he's pretty consistent. You kind of know what you're getting out of him. You're not going to get 25, 30 points from him, but he's going to knock down some open shots for you when he gets them. And he showed, I thought, as the season progressed, a greater confidence in taking those shots and being comfortable, making plays for himself and making plays for others. So I could definitely see him sneaking into, one of those top 3 guard rotation spots. But I don't think it's going to happen from day one, because I just think he's dealing with some really good guards ahead of him, and they are from the school of OG. And the one thing about Schroeder, Smart, and Josh Richardson that they all got in common: they dogs.
Right.
They grimy. They scratch, claw, bite. They are those dudes. And Pritchard is a good player, but he's not cut like that. And that's no disrespect to him, because I love the way he plays and I love the growth in his game. But it's going to be hard to outperform those guys because they play so damn hard.
Kind of random, but I was actually kind of shocked to see that Schroeder and Smart are on the same team because in my head, they never seem like two people that would get along because they're so similar.
You know what? They're similar because they're both real dogs
Like dogs,
in a
yeah.
good sense.
Yeah.
But I think we saw last year what happens when you only have one dog in the pen, in the kennel.
In the kennel.
Yeah, and that was Marcus. I mean, he did not have any dogs to run with. Dogs want to run. Dogs want to fight. They want to scratch. And Marcus, I don't think really had guys who were pushing him in that particular area of his game, which I think he is exceptional at.
Mm-hmm.
Josh Richardson is going to get at you. Schroeder is going to get at you. And Marcus is going to embrace that because that's who he is. That's what he wants. I remember just talking with players and they would mention to me about some of the battles between him and Wanamaker in practice. And if you watch Brad Wanamaker play, you could kind of understand why him and Marcus could play well together and could push each other. So I'm really interested to see how those new guys help a guy like Marcus Smart, who, again, because he's going to be having the ball in his hand more, he's not necessarily going to be looking to shoot as much. So his impact is going to be on his playmaking and his defense. I don't think he's going to score as much as we've seen in the past. And I don't think it's because, Ime has some edict on Marcus to take fewer shots. I think Marcus is just going to realize, well, shoot, Tatum wide open. Pass him the rock. Jalen running a break, bounce pass. Let me go back and lock up their top scorer.
Right.
And if I don't do that, Josh Rich and I got Josh coming in here too. Josh, let's double team this fool, get this rock, and get the run going. You are going to see, I think, a much more engaged Marcus Smart because he's got some guys who, again, they get after it. And that was something that I know that when Brad was putting this team together, I think he realized that I'm not coach. I need to craft a team that's different in ways that my last couple of teams weren't. Because Brad, if you think about it, they went for they got the Maybach and they got a lot of the luxury type players. We talk about Kyrie and Gordon, and Kemba. And now you already got a couple of those in the fold that you developed with Jalen and Jason. Right. Now you got to get some of them SUVs. You got to get some of them trucks. You got to get some of them hard driving trucks that can take you through the mud and not get you stuck in the pits. They got some trucks. They got some heavy duty trucks right now. And I'm looking forward to watching them play because, again, I think that they're going to be very much like some of those early teams that Brad Stevens coached that were just physical, beat the crap out of you. And at the end of the day, they win by 4. I think they're going to have that type of team. And Ime, just listening to him talk and just remembering him as a player, that was kind of how he stuck in the league. He was a gritty defender. He wasn't giving you 15, 20 points a game. He was trying to lock up that cat and limit him to 12 points, who normally gets you 20 to 25 points a game. That was kind of his style of play. So I think the roster that the Celtics have assembled and their new head coach, I think, is a perfect alignment to work and be effective. Now, is that going to get them 55 wins? Probably not, but it's going to make them competitive. And that, to me, for them, if you talk about competing for a title, first things first, you got to compete. And I think they've got a roster now that is more, I think, built to do that than we saw the last couple of years.